Gilgeous-Alexander on the drive, pulls back, baseline, jumper's good! OKC with their first lead of the second half. Williams has been hot all night, falling away, got it! 40 points for Jalen Williams. 28 remaining, Holmgren down the lane! A Holmgren hammer, and it's back up to a dozen.
This is Udart. You're listening to The Uncontested.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Uncontested Podcast. I am your host for tonight, Justin, joined by my guy, none other, than Taylor Peterson.
Justin, absolute banger new intro. Shout out to Justin Silva, who have been in the lab after the Thunder's championship and put together that masterpiece. You guys sent that. I think it was yesterday. You put that in a group text, and I think I told you I watched it like 5 times straight just out of excitement.
That's right.
Pretty awesome.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Jacob Silva and I were sitting at Prairie OKC a couple weeks ago, picking out what plays to put in the intro. It's not bad when you can make an intro full of all finals clips. What a time to be alive.
Especially the J Will part.
Especially the J Will.
Off. Oh man.
So good.
So good.
Before we go too much further, I want to let you know that we are brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network and Prairie Artisan Ales. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your social medias and subscribe wherever you download your podcasts. Also, if you haven't yet, check out the YouTube where you can see that fancy new intro video to accompany the audio version that you're hearing in your podcast feeds. And if you haven't already, join the Patreon. You can do so at the QR code over my shoulder if you're watching the live stream, or in the link in the description for this show below. Having a lot of fun in the Discord this offseason. We got a bunch of people playing 2K. We got people playing Pokemon. We got people sharing their pics of prairie beers at the beach. We got some people dropping questions, which you'll hear on tonight's show. So we're having a great time in the Discord. As well as we'll probably be recording a Patreon exclusive episode here in the near future. So lots of good incentives to join the Patreon. But Taylor, I have to start the show. No other place. The Thunder have their big 3 locked up for the foreseeable future.
They do.
The last time this podcast was recorded, it was highly likely that J-Dub was coming, but now it is official. The ink is dry. The announcement tweet has been made. The Oklahoma City Thunder's big 3 are under contract, and it feels amazing. I talked about how crazy it is to come off that finals run. I think to do what the Thunder just did in the last 2 weeks since the finals win, to lock in their core long-term, is fantastic. And I don't know about you, but I could not be more ecstatic and like just the biggest, not that there was any doubt that it was going to happen, but now that it's done, it just feels like a massive sigh of relief for this team.
Definitely. And like you said, I don't think we were like anxious about it at all, but just having it pen to paper officially. I think actually today the Thunder officially announced that both Chet and J-Dub had signed and inked those deals. Do you think, Justin, really quick, that J-Dub signed it with his left hand, or?
It's a good question.
Maybe that was the delay. He had to get that big white cast
that's
off
what it was.
Into this like more of like a brace looking cast, and he's able to use his fingertips to sign the deal. But J-Dub officially extends on a rookie contract extension that could reach $287 million. Yes. And if you guys want more, I won't try and butcher it again like I did on Wednesday. But if you want more in-depth and like analysis into what actually goes into like these bigger contract details, the $287 million versus Chet's 250. So when I talked about that on Wednesday, but essentially the incentives there for J-Dub, a player who's already made All-NBA, Justin. He's already made an All-NBA team and an All-Defensive team, already made an All-Star team. There's more incentives. It's more likely for him to reach those incentives. That's why they call them likely and unlikely incentives for Dub to reach that full supermax. So up to 30% of the cap. Obviously, there's been a lot of discourse about that, both with some, what's the word I'm looking for? Inaccurate analysis.
Yes.
On if this Thunder team can keep all these guys together with the big 3 signing these extensions. But ultimately, as a Thunder fan, you have to be ecstatic.
Ecstatic. And I don't even know the guy's name, and I was going to say I need to look it up, but I don't even think he deserves that. Broseph that was on FS1 ranting about how the Chet Holmgren contract is going to go down in history as the worst contract in the NBA. There's just some absolute nonsense narratives going on NBA Twitter at large, but also like I didn't even know FS1 had basketball coverage, so
Exactly.
I guess good job getting your engagement bait. But this is nothing but a positive. Like there's just no rational way to spin this into a negative unless you're a 12-year-old on Twitter who just copy and paste second apron into every reply. Like it's been well documented. There's been some really good breakdowns. I think we've done some decent breakdowns. The most recent one that I saw from a national media member that felt like they were starting to wrap their head around it was
Sam Quinn, CBS. Yep.
Sam Quinn had a really long tweet. I was going to say a thread, but I think it was just a single tweet.
Well, he also came out with an article, and he has
okay, there you go. Even better.
I highly encourage you all to go and read because he did. He actually made the case that not only can this and their team keep their core together, but also the second apron could be a good thing and benefit a team like the Thunder.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is I thought his take on it was interesting. In that not only did he point out that the current CBA is not going to harm the Thunder because of how they've situated themselves, but it's actually going to make it harder for other teams to catch them because of how other teams are building the teams, right? Like the incentives here are for a team like Oklahoma City that is drafting and developing talent. That's hard to do. That's hard to do, especially in a short time frame, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah, not everyone has the same Presti, but when you're trying to accumulate stars or put a super team together or assemble it through ways that have dominated the last decade, 15 years of this sport, it's going to be challenging to do so without facing some steep tax penalties. And I think you've seen some teams make some pretty interesting decisions this offseason in regards to that already. That it further solidifies a team like the Thunder that has that core locked up. Yes, they're going to have to make some decisions at some point, but every team does. But it's not going to be the kind of like, oh, they need to panic trade Chet or they need to panic trade J-Dub move that I think many are trying to manifest on this team. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder and Sam Presti have done a masterful job of setting this team up for long-term success with how they've structured these deals and how they've built in the way they stagger out with everyone else's contracts. The path is pretty clear, even for someone like me that doesn't really understand all the ins and outs of all this stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Justin, next season, the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder, are still going to be under the tax. They aren't paying that tax penalty yet. These extensions don't kick in for 2 more seasons, right? Both Shai, J-Dub, and Chet. And then at that point, when you look at, like, there's been so many good tweets about this. Somebody put out a great chart. I'll have to look it up here in a bit, and I'll be sure to give them credit. But basically breaking out the Thunder's contracts when some of these options expire, the different contracts they can get off of. Like, there's so much. And that's why we've talked so much here over the past 3 or 4 seasons now with Presti accumulating all these draft picks. Like, it's not just to go and trade for Giannis when he says he wants out of Milwaukee and to do another Paul George trade, right? Paul George from Indiana to OKC. It's to be able to bring in the Topićs that we'll get into, the Ajay Mitchells, these Brooks Barnhizers, like these other prospects that you can come in and develop while you still have the Alex Carusos and iHearts on the team at Thomas Sorber. And then the guys like Sorber and Topić and AJ, like these other role players are ready. They've gotten the experience. They continue to develop in the system when those max contracts hit. So yes, there's going to be difficult decisions when it comes to guys like Lou Dort or when it comes to guys like Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe potentially, or whoever it may be, those role players. But the Thunder have the ability to continue to supplement this team, the big 3, their core 3, with more and more talent around them long-term, which just should be terrifying for the rest of the league.
Absolutely. I think you saw it too, because I think I saw you tweeting about it, but Dub got on the mic during the last Summer League game a little bit. They were asking him some questions. Great to see Dub get that publicity like that. Also cool to see him showing up at Summer League and supporting the young guys fresh off a wrist surgery. But one of the things I thought he said that was most interesting was the mentality shift that's going to have to take place with this team, going from the hunter to the hunted. And especially after, did you see the clip of Hartenstein on Rich Eisen talking about how Mark Daignault would show like wildlife documentary clips?
Yes, I did see this. Yep.
Of like
That's
animals
the most
hunting
Mark
another
thing
animal
ever.
Yes.
The most Mark thing ever.
So are we going to go, is he going to switch that from the hunter to the hunted? Like, are we going to see like cool animal self-defense videos from Mark before next season? Anyway.
It's like on National Geographic when you see like these like smaller animals who are able to escape the big predators.
Yes,
like,
exactly. We're going to like camouflage and like, anyway.
We're going to fight back.
The point being, what I thought was really cool about it, not that this is news to anyone, but the maturity of J-Dub 2 weeks post NBA championship. Are we 2 weeks? I don't even know how long it's been.
Three
weeks.
today.
3 weeks post championship. For that to be his mentality already speaks volumes. And I think speaks volumes to this team and how they were able to navigate last season with all the success they were having and feeling even keeled. If you could be worried about anything next season, potentially that shift of like, all right, you're the defending champs and you're going to get everybody's best shot next season. Not that they probably already weren't for most of last year, right? But like from the word go next year, everyone's going to be coming for you. Like you could be any team's statement win on any given night.
Oh, it's going to be so frustrating, Justin. I already, especially shout out the Discord. We love the Discord, but we have a meltdown channel for a reason. Thankfully, it hasn't had to be used for a while. But I can just imagine a random January game and like the Houston Rockets or somebody like that come in and they beat the Thunder January, February, and their fans are feeling so great. We can beat this team in the playoffs, right? Like it's going to suck as a Thunder fan, but there's so much that goes into this as well. Like I also think the other thing, the two challenges actually, going back to what J-Dub said when he was live there during the game, he mentioned, going from being the hunter to the hunted. And he said their other challenge is going to be incorporating all these new players, both the rookies coming in with a bunch of talent, he said, and also, knock on wood, if nothing happens this offseason, finally having a fully healthy team to start the year. And how that looks with everybody coming together and the playing time, the different rotations. We know Mark Daignault is going to continue to explore different rotations, especially early in the season. So yeah, it's going to look different. There's going to be a lot of fun and excitement in that. And again, like we saw in the playoffs, I think ultimately the way that Mark goes about this, like it just pays dividends when it comes to playoff time and making a long playoff push. And so, I find it very exciting. While I know opposing fan bases are, like I said, going to be the Thunder aren't championship worthy. They aren't going to win again. Trade J-Dub or Chet, that whole thing.
I do think it's interesting. We talk about how the road only gets tougher for this team. So thank goodness you won the first one, right? That makes the next few years of this like gravy. You've won the ring. You've conquered the mountaintop. In some senses, it gets more difficult because you have teams like Denver and Houston that have gotten notably better. You have other teams like San Antonio, right, that are going to be a more formidable challenge this next season. But then on the flip side, you've got Indiana and Milwaukee and Boston that are not going to be on the caliber that they were this season in terms of maybe not a regular season impact since you don't play those teams as much, but looking at potential playoff opponents, it becomes again like much like this year. I think hindsight 2020, but you beat the Nuggets. You overcome that hurdle, and I think you feel pretty good about your path towards a title, or at least a shot at a title. Not to put the cart before the horse, but like this team is going to be extremely well positioned next year. And if the health thing, the Thunder had for mostly positive health fortune in the playoffs, minus Dub's wrist injury that we didn't fully know the extent of at the time. But the regular season, this team won 68 games and had a slew of health problems. If this team can survive more of the regular season, no one has a fully healthy regular season, but if they survive more of the regular season with a little more health, it just feels like it feels like this team could ascend to another level, which feels like an insane thing to say coming off the season they just
absolutely. And Justin, I think you and I were on a podcast here recently where I mentioned I don't think the Thunder were really playing their best basketball when it came to those last two series, but really that last series against the Pacers. But you obviously brought up a great point in that the Pacers weren't there, and that's part of making it all the way to the finals and a 7-game series.
Yep.
But at the same time, like I mentioned, being able to have these young guys come in and I think Connor brought up a really good point. He said the rest is going to be a massive thing next year. They want J-Dub and Chet to have full healthy seasons and be as close to 100% for next postseason. And that like reminds me so much of the conversations we were having during the regular season this past year about Alex Caruso. I'm like, man, I wish Caruso could, like, in some of these big games, right? Like,
that's a great
show
point.
me like 25, 26, 27 minutes instead of the 20 he's getting. But we saw that obviously pay so many dividends long term. So continue.
Mark said, chill out, dude.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. And that doesn't only help, obviously, in the near term when you're looking at a long playoff run, but it also helps in the long term as well when you have to move off guys like Ihart and maybe Caruso. So
that's a great
I also
point.
love the point that you made about like the Denver series. And I don't think we've talked about that or this on the podcast yet, but Lou Dort was being interviewed. I can't remember where it was. I think
it was on
Canada.
NBA Today, I think.
Okay. NBA Today. And he said, like, honestly, the Denver series was the series that had them the most nervous.
Yeah.
And they knew when they came back from that and won that series, they could essentially beat anybody. So when it came to the Pacers, like, no disrespect to the Pacers, but they've been there before. I think deep down, they probably felt that Denver was a better team, and they knew that they could pull off like the big win that we saw in Game 4 in Indiana, for example.
Yep. Adversity is a big part of it. Absolutely. We've got some questions from the Discord tonight that we're going to be peppering in, and it feels like a good segue to this one from our guy, Dustin Huber, in the Discord. We've talked about the big three being locked up. We've talked about J-Dub and Chet and how NBA Twitter can debate the validity of their extensions. But Dustin asked, who will have a bigger impact on this team next year, Chet or Dub? I'm curious. Curious your thoughts, because I love the way he worded this question.
He did. That's a great question. The cop out, Sam. I'll give you two. I'll actually answer the question eventually, but also giving the Sam Presti answer would be that they're both going to have equal impacts, and right? Like, their development isn't tied together. It's them extending or coming into their own. Or developing as their own players is going to be equally important. But if I had to pick one, I kind of think Chet, just because, and look, like we talked about this Wednesday, Silva and I talking about J-Dub's injury, all that went into it. Now that we have the details from him, and just how like insane that is and exciting that is to think what J-Dub could have done and can potentially do when he is healthy. Given what he did with that wrist injury. But at the same time, like, we kind of know the player that J-Dub is. He's going to continue to improve. Shai's going to continue to improve, right? We kind of know the players that they are. I just keep coming back, Justin, to that first stretch of last season. Chet comes off his first fully healthy offseason as an NBA player. And then just the way he was attacking the rim, the way he was getting to the free throw line. We talked so much. 3-point shot looked great. He had his legs under him. If he can develop that on the offensive side of the ball and bring that into this new season upcoming, and then continue to impact the way that he does defensively and anchor the defense, like, that's horrifying to think about. That, I think that truly takes his team to a whole new level. So that's why I'm going to lean Chet.
I agree. And I agree with your rationale. It's not a conversation. The question is not who's better, who's the better player, who's the more important player. It's who's going to have the bigger impact. And I think solely for the reason that Chet was so absent for most of the previous season, and that when he was back in the playoff run, it wasn't the same Chet that we saw pre-injury. If he comes back this fall and looks more like he did before the injury last season, it's a massive impact on this team. It changes everything. I think back to the decision to go single big at the start of the Pacers series. If you had pre-injury Chet, does that look different? Do the takes on that look different? I think it's completely different if Chet
the series
is,
doesn't go to 7 games.
Mhm.
I mean, it is what it is.
And so I'm so excited to see that. I'm hoping and banking on with that hope that Chet will be back more to his pre-injury form. We just didn't get to see it at its peak, right? You got such a small glimpse at the beginning of the season, but even that was without Hart. He had some great moments post-injury, but when you go back and look at some of the clips pre-injury, crazy. Like it's crazy to just contrast it to what we saw at the end of the season. He was so much more fluid.
I agree completely. And that's kind of what J-Dub was getting at when he mentioned just having a fully healthy team, again, knock on wood, heading into the season. You're going to have the double big option, right? Yep. Like, and what does that look like? Also, I think that frees up so much more for Shai and J-Dub. It gives you different options throughout the game when it comes to sub patterns.
Yep.
You can have Chet initiate a little more offensively, which the Thunder badly missed when Shai was sitting on the court and when J-Dub was hurt. Yep. And again, that's not even to mention the guys like Ajay Mitchell and Topić who will have a bigger role this upcoming season.
Yep. It's great. It's a good position to be in. The Oklahoma City Thunder are well positioned for the future. It's nice. I've seen some tweets about this, and I don't know that it's not apples to apples, but as a Thunder fan, from a purely fan perspective, the opportunity to make right the wrongs of 2012 feels nice, right? Like, losing the finals, trading away Harden, to now winning the finals, locking in the big three. It feels like we're getting a little bit of like Marvel what if action on this Thunder team that is, I'm very excited to see how this one plays out. And I'd be very scared if I was the rest of the league.
If they would have lost the finals, even in game 7, I probably would have spent the offseason on here talking about the Seattle curse, and the Thunder aren't going to do it. They aren't going to win until Seattle finally gets their expansion team back, and they're the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah. Well, now we just have to worry about the 2K curse and the Drake curse.
Yeah,
teaming
that's
up
right. That's a good
Shai.
point. Hey, some great off-season material here, Justin.
God.
Do you want to?
No, I do not.
The listeners.
I did not want to break down Drake's tattoo cover up.
Covers up his LeBron James tattoo with a like. It's not even a good tattoo. It's like
you couldn't see it very well.
And it was raised. It's like
It looks like it was fresh.
He got like it very. He like shaded over the. I don't know. I'm not a big tattoo guy. This is why you're not either. That's why we need Jacob on the podcast here. But it looked like they like shaded over the LeBron tattoo and then put Thunder and number 2 right under it, like on top of the shading. I don't know. Kind of weird. But
kind of everything.
At least they have. Agreed. At least they have their championship now, right?
That's right. That's right. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we're going to talk about some summer league. We'll be right back. And we're back. Taylor, speaking of reasons why the league should be terrified, this Thunder team has some guys playing in the summer league right now. Some performances that have been really fun to watch. I've been personally enjoying how much burn both Ajay Mitchell and Nikola Topić have been getting. You always think back to summer leagues past where they kind of shut down those guys quick. They've been getting a lot of play, but one guy in particular that I want to talk about, because I know we've talked a lot about Topić and I know we've talked a lot about Ajay Mitchell, but someone who's earning some eyeballs during this summer league run, Brooks Barnhizer. Do we think Brooks Barnhizer has a real shot to like crack the rotation here? Like, did Presti get a guy?
Again, like you always say, Justin, you have to take summer league with a big grain of salt.
Big grain of salt.
But what Brooks is doing absolutely translate to the way that this Thunder team plays. 13 steals, I believe, in the past 2 games. So you have some really good stats that you're going to bring up.
Yes.
I'm excited to get into. This is from Brandon Rabar, who said that Brooks Barnhizer is at 8.8 steals per 36 minutes. And again, that's kind of cherry picked. But for reference, Dyson Daniels, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, averaged 3.2 steals per. Actually, did he win this year? I can't even remember. It's been a blur. Anyways,
I have no idea.
Dyson Daniels, who was up there for Defense Player of the Year, averaged 3.2
I think he did win.
36. And my point being, it's like this is summer league. We're not saying that Brooks Barnhizer is going to average 5 steals a game, but his mentality the way he plays the game, especially defensively, being able to jump passing lanes. He had a play, I think it was yesterday, where he was the help side defender, comes over from, I can't even remember who was driving to the basket and basically just strips the ball from them.
Yep.
And it's interesting, Justin, like, you know, we talk so much about the OKC Blue and how, you know, for years, even going back to Thunder 1.0 days, they always implemented the same style of offense and defense so that when those players go up to the Thunder, they played that style. They played that system. Yep. That's so hard to replicate because of the difference in players, not just the talents, but also just the different types of players that you bring in. But watching the Thunder, especially these past couple of games in Summer League, now that they've started to gel, it's very reminiscent of how the actual OKC Thunder play, how the varsity squad plays, if you want to call it that. And I see so many steals and deflections, getting out in transition, and then just blowing teams away like they did the Pacers the other night.
And even hitting them with the towels in the postgame.
Yeah,
interview.
that's right.
This
that's right. The chemistry's there.
Runs all the way down.
All the way down. But Brooks has been awesome, especially defensively. I think he has the build to be able to guard bigger players on the perimeter, also battle down low. We've seen him, get double-digit rebounds now, like twice in Summer League. He just does a little bit of everything. And then what was exciting to me was seeing how he performed on the offensive side of the ball yesterday. Some spin fadeaways, mid-range shots,
showed a little bit of his bag.
He did. Not a great three-point shooter as we knew coming into this, but he's definitely showing some flashes. And I think he will definitely get some playing time this season. Now, cracking the rotation when it comes to like later in the season, in the spring, and
that's
into the
a
playoffs,
totally different conversation.
But this goes back to our original topic that we were talking about, Topić, if you will, earlier in the podcast, and we were talking about developing some of these guys. And so when the Alex Carusos and the iHearts, or whoever you want to name, are no longer on the team, Brooks Barnhizer has already cracked the rotation. He's ready to step in immediately.
Yep. Before I dive into Brooks, I want to touch on this super chat from our guy Adam Loves Horror, who says the OKC universe better than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Love from Michigan. Shout out for my Marvel What If series. That could be I would watch that series, OKC Thunder What If.
Yes.
And I could actually watch it now that the Thunder have won a title because it wouldn't be so painful.
That 30 for 30 ESPN OKC Thunder. Can't wait.
In regards to Brooks, a couple stats that I found that you mentioned earlier. One that was going around Twitter from Charlie Spungen, who basically he made a chart of steals versus fouls in 2025 Las Vegas Summer League so far. And everyone is kind of clumped together over here in like the 1 to 5 steals range and the like 0 to 15 fouls range. And then way over here off my screen is Brooks Barnhizer sitting at 13 steals and only 3 fouls. That's incredible. It's Summer League. So like you said, proper to put an asterisk on it. But I think his motor, his ability to do the dirty work, but also to be disciplined enough to not rack up fouls. Again, albeit Summer League, I think that tells you something. That tells you a little bit about how he's molded, a little bit about the type of player he is. And I think we've said this before, but you put that guy under Caruso, Dort, Kenny Hustle, Chet, any of those guys, if he can be an understudy and pick up a little bit of their game, just feels like he's cut from the right cloth. I'm not saying Brooks Barnhizer is the next Ajay Mitchell or Lou Dort or whatever diamond in the rough contributor to this team. But I could see him through just a handful of Summer League games. So like massive asterisk, he's showing you something that's like, that's the type of guy that you could continue to build on. We talked about how this team's going to have to make some decisions at some point. Alex Caruso is going to be one of those decisions because of his age, because of his contract size. I think there's a dozen guys that could fill that role. There's a bunch of guys on this roster, cough, Case and Wallace, that could start to be molded for that role. It is probably not Brooks Barnhizer, but what Brooks Barnhizer has is the ability to
say that 5 times fast.
I can't even say it once. What he can do is then backfill that depth. right? So think about this as a revolving door. So again, I'm not saying Barnhizer is your Caruso replacement, but he might be your Caruso replacement's replacement. And I think that's the path that this Thunder team have set themselves up for. With as much draft capital as they have the ability to continue to revolve those role player guys in and out of this system and just get younger and cheaper continually. They're not all going to hit, but that's why you have 40 of them, right? Exactly. Is they don't all have to hit. That's the point. That's why you accumulate so many.
Two things there that I love that you brought up, and that kind of like sparked something when you said that. As this team evolves, it's not like Shai, Chet, and Dub are just going to be the exact same players long term, and you're just going to replicate exactly what you did that won the championship this past season. And you're going to find, Sorber has to be I Heart to a T long term, and Brooks Barnhizer or whoever it is has to be, or even Casey Wallace has to be, Lou Dort or Alex Caruso. As this team evolves, you don't have to bring in another Alex Caruso. Maybe Barnhizer, because of his different strengths and weaknesses, complements that team better long term, right?
Yeah,
and that's why you bring in different players, different archetypes. The other thing is we've watched this team long enough, especially this specific iteration of the team during Thunder 2.0, if we want to call it that. And I think we've seen the type of players that Presti brings in and the things that will translate. And the things that Brooks is doing will translate. Now, he's not a great three-point shooter. Obviously, that's something that a lot of the players on the Thunder haven't been great three-point shooters coming in, and that's a weakness of this team. He needs to develop more offensively. Like I think about watching him in comparison to watching players on this team like Shai, Dub, even guys like Casey Wallace and Nikola Topić. They're much more smooth offensively. It kind of seems like Brooks is – it's controlled chaos, right? Like he's going 110 miles per hour. It's not out of control necessarily, but there's a lot that can still slow down for him on that side of the ball. So there's a lot of those, but ultimately we're talking about a prospect coming in, hasn't played NBA basketball yet. And I think there's the exciting thing is there's a lot of core things that he has, like you mentioned, that will translate to the NBA for.
To that point, another great stat from @DraftPow. This is Matt Powers. He made a chart that outlines it outlines how stats translate from summer league to rookie season. The 5 stats that most translate from summer league to rookie season: 3-point attempts, assists, blocks, offensive rebounds, and field goal attempts. So how much you shoot, that translates pretty well. And then some of those other things: assists, blocks, offensive rebounds. That's kind of some hustle stats and playmaking. That translates well. Allow me to wet blanket on my Brooks Barnhizer love a little bit. The least translatable stats from summer league to rookie year, broad sample size, is free throw percentage, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, free throw attempts, and steals. So your shooting percentage in summer league does not matter. That does not surprise me. How many free throws you shoot does not matter. Also doesn't surprise me. Steals is a little bit of a bummer to see in that category, given what we just said about Brooks Barnhizer. Now, that said, he's so far off, like I said, off the edge of the chart. According to that chart from Charlie Spungen, the next highest number of steals is 5. He's
5.
At 13.
In 2 games.
Maybe that's enough of an outlier to overcome the statistical anomaly.
And for clarity, we're talking specifically about Vegas Summer League. Vegas.
Correct. Vegas. Thank you for clarifying.
That's not taking into account what he did.
That was like a deep octave. Vegas.
Vegas.
Gotta
switch it up,
Coming
especially when we don't
summer.
have the sound.
Las Vegas Summer League.
Speaking of that,
Brooks Barnhizer. What?
Because it's off season and we can talk about random stuff like this. You sent a text in our uncontested group text about Uno. Becoming a game.
Uno.
You
can
in Vegas.
Play on the Vegas Strip. That seems like a great idea and a horrible idea.
Seems like a great idea for Vegas.
Someone's gonna hit someone with a double reverse, and then someone's gonna pull out a knife and stab them. That game gets heated enough when there's no money on the line.
People, I
can't imagine
so much money. Oh man,
we might get Jacob to play a game of high stakes Uno in Vegas.
I can't wait.
That's my goal
We have
for
to
the next time we
document
go to
that.
Summer League.
Yes. Parlays already been there.
Oh my gosh.
In.
I alluded to it earlier. We have a lot of good questions in the Discord for tonight. Appreciate all the degenerates for chipping in. One related to what we're talking about from DJ Frederick Douglass. I haven't watched or paid attention to any Summer League. He's just living that champ life.
I feel that.
What should I be most excited for this upcoming season? Other than Brooks Barnhizer, do you have any other suggestions for DJ Frederick Douglass?
The two things that have stood out, I'm kind of similar. Like I've watched Thunder Summer League, but I have not watched other teams. I just have kind of looked at the highlights and the box scores to see who's kind of popped and who's played well. But the two things that really stand out to me, and obviously they're the low-hanging fruit, but Ajay Mitchell's scoring, especially his three-point shot, Justin, really has me excited. He's hitting threes off the dribble. He's pull-up threes. He's hitting threes off catch and shoot. And if he's able to do that, as well as we already know he has the ability to get to the rim, and he's very crafty around the rim, has had some of the most insane finishes at the rim in Summer League that are getting tweeted out by the NBA account, right?
Yeah, right.
Incredibly talented offensively. And if he's able to space the floor like that, I talked about the Thunder not really, and we've talked so much about this, the Thunder not really having a consistent threat from three. Outside of maybe Isaiah Joe, who struggled. I know he had his own wrist injury, all of that, but that's going to allow AJ to play along. And we know what he's going to bring defensively. So that allows AJ to play alongside guys like Shai or alongside Dub in that second unit, kind of be the an additional initiator when one of those guys sits. That's how he's going to find himself getting into playing time. And I think can complement this team really well. So that's really exciting to me to see AJ still have that burst and his ability to be crafty and get to the rim, but also his 3-point shooting translating. And then the other thing is with Topić. Obviously, there's been some ups and downs for Topić trying to get his feet back under him. He's had some turnovers, but his vision is next level. Some of the dimes that he is throwing to players and his ability to find players moving off ball, which is what this team prides himself on. So much the off-ball movement, the backdoor cuts with guys like I think about Aaron Wiggins and Kenrich Williams and
guys
Chet
that can actually catch the ball,
right?
Would be great.
And guess what? He's throwing lobs and he's throwing beautiful lobs. We haven't had that this whole iteration of the Thunder.
Absolutely,
so,
Chet should be licking his chops.
Yes, absolutely. I think both of those players are going to find themselves into the rotation based off the game, and I think can each bring different things that really complement this team and allows them to play regular rotation minutes.
I'm with you on Topić specifically. The turnover numbers you can choose to be concerned by, but like I alluded to, if you put him out there with actual NBA players, that's what I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he looks like with the actual Thunder players who are going to be able to finish some of the dimes that he's throwing out there. I think it's going to open up a dynamic to the offense that we haven't seen in a while.
Justin, his potential assists in Summer League have to be through the roof.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure they've tracked potential assists in Summer League, but they should.
Just for Topić.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. It's an exciting time to look at what the Thunder just did this past season and look at those two guys in Summer League. It's not often you see the defending champs have a couple of guys in Summer League that are playing like they have. And I'm very excited to see how they look when they get integrated into the full Thunder rotation. Next question I want to hit on is from POW Ranger. He said, can you give us a 24-25 playoff run game tier list? That could be a whole episode, and honestly, maybe we'll save that for later in the summer. But I would say, Taylor, give me your. I was gonna say top 3 earlier, but I feel like that's too hard. Give me can we do like a top 5 playoff games?
I like
of
that.
The run?
We'll bounce
and maybe we do it together. Maybe we co-create this thing.
Number 1 for me, Justin, I think has to be Game 5 at home against Denver. Blue Dort 3-point flurries. Shai and J-Dub taking over down the stretch. The comeback that took. that series is over. The playoff run is over if we don't get the Blue Dort 3-point explosion there in the second half in that third quarter, and then Shai and Dub doing what they did to finish the game, especially knowing what Dub was going through with his wrist. That was the picture, the infamous picture now that we got of Dub yelling at his wrist because he hit that huge three in the fourth quarter. Like that is the game that will, for whatever reason, has been standing out to me when reflecting back on this playoff run.
That's a great one. That's a great one. That's not what I expected for number one, but I like it because for all the reasons you hit on, you're dead on. Were you at the game?
I was.
That helps too.
I was.
That's fun.
Definitely helps.
That's fun.
Which is probably why like my next ones are also games that all of us were at together.
I was going to say that also helps. I think for me, the next one, I'm going to put game 4 of the finals in Indiana.
That was my choice as well.
The emotional swings in that game. We were all, me, you, and Jacob were there in person. Nick was there too. No. He left.
Nick
he left. He was at game 3.
No wonder they won.
Yeah, it was all Nick's fault. But we were there in the arena coming off of a brutal game 3 loss where we got hazed walking out of the arena. Was already literally like halfway through that game planning at what point deficit and time remaining do we pull the plug and get out of here so we don't get executed in the street after this game when the Thunder lose.
After spending a lot of money on tickets.
Things were looking bleak. I thought we were coming home with 2 losses from Indiana. Didn't feel psyched about that. And then the shakeover. Shai goes insano mode. Shai hits the baseline jumper, which is now iconic. Oklahoma City overcomes it was 7-point deficit going into the fourth, I believe. Takes their first lead of the second half with a few minutes left.
Chet was incredible defensively.
Chet was incredible defensively. Gainbridge was stunned. We hung out for a while, let the crowd clear out so we didn't cause any trouble trying to leave the arena. And then when we did, there was like this little cohort of Thunder fans that had hung around and started an impromptu like OKC chant in the concourse. That was pretty cool. Getting to hear a loud OKC chant like that in the opponent's arena in the NBA finals, regardless of all the incredible things that happened in the game. That was a heck of a moment.
Agreed completely. That was my number 2 as well. I'm with you.
So now number 3
gets kind of tough. I think number 3, honestly, we just have to go with it. Game 7 of the finals, the Thunder win an NBA championship. It's that obvious. Yep. And obviously it sucks.
That's what I thought was going to be number 1, just because it feels like it had to be number 1.
Right.
Not because it's the best game.
Correct. And that's kind of how I was viewing it, like the best game. But
yeah,
it's kind of a combination of all the different factors. And I think at number 3, we have to put it there. No, it wasn't the most exciting game of the playoffs. The Halliburton injury sucked a lot of energy out of that game, not just the crowd, but like the game as a whole. But the Thunder should respond like they did in the second half. Like that's how I wanted the Thunder to end the season, playing their brand of basketball, steals, deflection, defensive intensity, getting out in transition, hitting outside shots due to that transition offense. And that's exactly what we saw. And obviously we saw Shai, Dub, Chet, all those guys kind of have their imprint there in the second half. So for all those reasons, I think I got to go with that for number 3.
It's a good pick. I feel like it gets really hard here because there's a lot of...
That's what she said.
I could see your face as soon as I said it.
Justin and I always do that. When there's an interesting comment, I look at him and he looks at me and then we start laughing.
There's a lot of solid picks and that's why this is a fun exercise. But I'm going to go with Minnesota game 4.
Yes, I love
it was not do or die like the Denver game 5 one was that you picked, but it was an opportunity to not let the series get out of control in that you were up 2-0, you looked very dominant, and then you got smacked in the mouth in game 3. And Jacob and I kind of debated after game 3, like how the team would respond. And Jacob said, like, this team always responds after a loss. They're going to be fine. They looked great in the first 2 games. Like, wash the bad taste out of your mouth, go win game 4. I was worried that you lost it so bad that you just gave a team that didn't have any hope. And I think they did. But what they did in game 4 was they shut it all down. And it was the big 3 that led the way on the road to snatch that game in Minnesota and essentially put the series to bed. They closed it out in 5, but that game 4 was the one that slammed the door shut on the Minnesota Timberwolves on their route, en route to the NBA Finals. An incredible performance where they needed every single point from the big 3 in order to pull that one out.
I'm with you. Like watching that game, I was in Paycom for the watch
Oh,
parties
that's fun.
they were
Yeah.
holding. And that second half, just those, again, like you said, the big 3 stepping up like they did. Trying to remember, did Lou Dort? I'm gonna have to go back and look. I felt like he had a couple big 3s, but again, I know it's all blurred together. That was huge. And then also in hindsight, it feels even bigger because it allowed J-Dub and that wrist to get a little time off before the finals.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And J-Dub played fantastic, like you said, that game with the wrists. And so
he was on that good numbing medicine.
It's lidocaine.
I was about to say
cortisol.
Novocaine, and I was like, that's not right.
That's a Frank Ocean song, right?
Well, it's also, I think it's for your mouth. Anyway. All right, so number
Off-season
5.
pods.
What's number 5?
So this is where it's just like you could pick so many. I think about Game 7, the Thunder coming out back home in Paycom against Denver and just completely blowing them out, making a statement and saying, "Nope, we're ending this early and we're moving on to the next round."
Yeah.
I think about the response in Game 2 in the finals after what was eerily reminiscent of Game 1 of the Denver series. They lose yet again with the Tyrese Halliburton. What the Hallie buzzer beater there in Game 1 of the finals, and they respond in Game 2. And you could even throw in like 1 or 2 of those games from the Memphis series where they just look so.
That's what I was going to say. Was my honorable mention is Game 1 of the Memphis series. As much expectation as this team had built up throughout the regular season, it wasn't quite the same level of like powder keg as Game 1 of the playoffs last year, where it was the first, that was a momentous moment hosting a playoff game for the first time in a long time in Oklahoma City. But it was close. The anticipation heading into that game was extremely high, and for them to come out and look like they did, I always knew they were contenders because of how well they played in the season, but to come out in Game 1 of the playoffs and do that, it was like, oh, okay. This they're ready to go.
Yeah. And it felt like the arrival. Like we're here.
They have a switch to flip still,
right?
Which is insane. After you win 68 games, that you still have a switch you can go flip. Yep. And they flipped that switch and whooped that trick.
And it kind of set the tone for the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
The 30-point comebacks, another honorable mention.
Oh.
Yes, massive asterisk because Jaw got hurt. But anytime you overcome a 30-point deficit, that's going to be memorable as well.
I think that's more of an honorable mention to me, though.
Yeah,
just because the Thunder swept that series, and so they probably win in 5 even if they lose that. Yeah. But I agree.
Yep, agreed. It's a good question. That's fun. We could, like I said, maybe
a lot of fun.
Maybe that'll be a good one to revisit later in the off season when we're trying to come up with more content. This one from Thunder Chick. Now that we've got the championship parade a couple weeks in the rearview mirror, are we still feeling that championship glow? TP, how you feeling? You still riding high?
Yes. It's weird. It's like it just all feels like a blur because you go through the grinding playoffs and then the Thunder win the championship. It feels surreal. You go to the parade, it feels more real. And then a couple of days later, we're immediately into NBA draft. And then we're immediately into summer league. But it's really kind of set in. And it's just such a different feeling from what we felt as Thunder fans heading into new seasons each year, right? Like
only one team gets to feel this feeling.
Exactly. And I'm definitely feeling that way. Just feeling confident, but also thankful and excited just for, like we talked so much about at the beginning of the podcast, so much more still to come. Even if they don't win again and repeat next year, like just the position of this team to be able to continue to put themselves in championship contention is just really exciting and makes you feel
it's an exciting few years ahead. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. It still feels surreal. I legitimately, when I said I didn't know if it had been 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think I have worn a piece of Thunder gear every day for the last 3 weeks. And
it's a great callback, Smoot.
And like that's not an exaggeration. Like every day when I'm getting dressed, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I wear some Thunder gear? Like,
oh, speaking of that, so first of all, Justin, shout out OKC Tracker right here, live on the podcast. I've gotten so many compliments and so many inquiries about my uncontested championship ring shirt that you made based off the Chicago Bulls back in the day. Yeah. I've had like 2 or 3 random people wearing it out, like running errands and stuff. Like, dude, where'd you get that shirt?
That's awesome.
So I get to tell them it's really
cool.
Awesome. Oh, you have a Thunder podcast. But the other thing is I got my official Thunder championship shirt, the For the City shirt.
Yeah.
It finally came in 2 days ago.
Nice.
Got to wear it last night to go see Superman. And it's awesome.
That's awesome. I've been pulling together some like mementos. I actually have a couple right next to me. So this is going to be show and tell now. Since they don't give out ticket stubs anymore, which is a giant bummer, I made some because that's what I do.
You made those?
Yeah, I made these.
When you sent that to us, I legit thought you found a site that like you send the ticket in and they'll like print one out. That's
I made these. So this is the 3 games that I got to go to in the finals. The Pacers ones, you could like order a commemorative ticket. I didn't do that, so I just stole the design. And then the Thunder one is like kind of roughly based on I saw some courtside passes.
Yep.
So I kind of based it on that. So it's kind of like roughly what the tickets would have looked like if they actually had them. And then the other one that I got a frame for this week. If you can see that, it's big. The front page of the Oklahoman with the Days of Thunder headline and the final score, the picture of the team holding up the trophy. This all-timer.
Awesome.
I've always wanted to have something like that framed.
Where'd you order it? Because I want to also.
So yeah. I wish I got a commission for this, but it's through I think it's through the USA Today store, because I think that's technically who owns the Oklahoma
company. That makes sense. Because I went to the Oklahoma website, couldn't find it.
It took me some digging too, and it's like I thought it was just going to be like a printout, honestly, but it's like legit newspaper, which is kind of cool.
That's so
cool.
And
it was a 3-pack, so it came with 3 different front covers.
Very cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. So I've just been like living in it, relishing the feeling of being an NBA champion, because who knows if you'll ever get to feel it again. Someone in the chat earlier said, I forget how many days now, but we're 10 weeks, 15 weeks, I don't remember what it was, from a ring ceremony. That's going to be crazy. A wild night.
Oh, and oh gosh, this is terrible of me for not knowing who the former NBA champ who was doing the broadcast doing the color commentary when Dub was being interviewed. But what he said to Dub, he was like, dude, he asked, was like, have you been back? And Dub was like, no, I haven't been back because I just left. Like I stayed, like a lot of us stayed around for about a week after. He was like, but if we went back to that city right now, I feel like OKC would be throwing another parade. Like it's an incredible feeling. And again, forgive me for forgetting who this was, but this guy said, well, just wait until that ring ceremony. He's like, that lasts.
I think it was Channing Frye.
Forever.
Yeah.
Was it Channing Frye?
Smoot said it in the chat. I think
I didn't realize it was Channing Frye.
Yeah.
Because I tuned in late. So, but I can't wait for that ring ceremony. Just going to be a continuation, and what a perfect way to kick off the new season.
I think I'm going to have to try to get tickets to that game.
Yeah. We'll have to do an uncontested podcast after.
Yeah, buddy.
Love it.
It'll be fun. Lots to feel good about, lots to enjoy. Thank you to everybody in the Discord who's sending questions. And if you want to hang out with such fine folks, join the Patreon. You too can hang out in the Discord with us degenerates and make the off season go by faster. I'll tell you that much. TP, thanks so much. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for jumping on and hosting.
I think that was a good show.
Very, especially for us last minute. Like
I was going to say, we had
55 or something.
We knew we had some people traveling, but then Nick had flight delays, and it is what it is. But we made it work. Thank you if you're listening to this. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much to everybody that was in the chat. Oh my gosh!
Ooh, last minute
a couple super chats before I get out of here. Actually, Adam Loves Horror with another super chat who says, other than Game 7, my favorite of the whole year was Jay Will's first triple double.
That's great.
He also says it's not that hard for me. That's what she said. Alan McIntosh with the super chat, who says, when I was getting ready for church, I put the One for the City shirt on, and my wife walked in and stared at me for a second, then said, no, you're not wearing that to church. And I was like, dang it.
I think you should have done it anyways.
I think you should have done it.
In the house of the Lord has blessed this Thunder team. It's only right.
That's right. That's right. Amazing time to be a Thunder fan. So make sure you subscribe to The Uncontested, and we'll be here for all of it. We're here to help you get through the offseason, daydreaming about a dynasty as we head towards the Thunder's next season. We'll be back at it again, maybe Wednesday. It's a TBD, but if not, at the very least, we'll be back next Sunday. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a minute. Appreciate everyone that tuned in. Until next time, as always, Thunder up.